Okay, welcome. I would like to call the March 13th, 2025 Plan Commission meeting to order at 7 o'clock. If you're able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Bill Thomas,
Yes, here.
Ken Carroll,
Here.
Cheryl Slabazeski. Here. Angelo DeSerio,
Here.
Jeff Peterson.
Here.
Marty Flynn,
Here.
John Stanton.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I would like to introduce, before we get going, our new Director of Community and Economic Development, Pat Ainsworth, and also our Community and Economic Development Consultant, Ron Metzer. And then else up here on the dais is our Attorney Mike Stiff. So I'd like to start by having a motion to approve the minutes from the Plan Commission meeting held on September 12th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Peterson, second by Commissioner Slabozowski. Roll call, please.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Angelo DeSerio,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Here. Yes.
John Stanton,
Abstain.
Marty Flynn,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes, again.
Motion carried.
Okay. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate all the input that we have had for tonight. And I promise you, anybody who has come and wants to speak will be given the time to do that. So we have one case on our agenda for tonight, and it is a public hearing and consideration of case number PUD-25-1-3-1 of Lockport Township Fire Protection District seeking approval of various zoning ordinance text amendments, special use permits, preliminary and final planned unit development plans, and miscellaneous PUD exceptions in the M1 Limited Manufacturing District site located along the south side of Division, west of Broadway and east of Weber. Samantha, is all the paperwork in order?
Yes, it is.
So I thought about that, is all the paperwork in order? And sometimes you say, well, what paperwork are you talking about? Here's the paperwork for this case. I think we set a record. Okay. I would like to have a motion to open the public hearing for case PUD 25-1-3-1. So moved. Motion by Commissioner Carroll.
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeSerio. Roll call, please.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Angelo DeSerio,
Yes.
Marty Flynn,
Yes.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes, the meeting is opened
Motion
at
carried.
7:04 p.m. So again, the subject of this public hearing is to discuss case PUD 25-1-3-1. I would like to ask our Community and Economic Development Consultant, Ron Menster, to present some of the specifics of this case. Ron. Right. You might have to borrow yours.
Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to start off by providing a high-level but brief overview of the history of this project and the city's involvement in it, the purpose of tonight's meeting, and the scope of the most important special approvals that the fire district has submitted and are really the subject of tonight's meeting. First, I did want to just clarify a little bit. I am the city's community and economic development consultant currently. Prior to the city hiring Patrick as their full-time community and economic development director earlier this year, I had served as the city's interim community and economic development director for over a year. And over that service time, I did play a pretty important or extensive role in interacting with the fire district as they came forward with this project and began discussing it with the city, and then through the evolution of the back and forth, the design and the documents and the approvals that are being presented to you tonight. So it was just in the last quarter of 2023 is when the fire district contacted the city and set up the first initial meeting with staff to provide a high-level conceptual overview of what they were working on and that they were looking forward to submitting for formal city review and approvals. The purpose of that initial meeting was just to kind of let the city know that they were working on this project, and it was their intent to move forward with submitting for city approvals at some point in time, and they wanted to get a good handle on what that city approval process looked like. That was again in the end of 2023. In January of 2024, the fire district appeared before the city council and presented an update on where they were at in the design of the project and the preliminary scope of the project. Then in August of 2024, the fire district submitted their formal application materials that have led to where we're at today. And September of 2024, the fire district and their consultants and partners appeared before the city council at a work session meeting to present the detailed conceptual plans that they had prepared up to that point in time. And then in early January of 2025, this year, the fire district submitted the preliminary and final design documents and application materials for what's going to be discussed tonight. The purpose of tonight's meeting is the official public hearing for this request. The public hearing for special zoning requests by city ordinances is conducted by the Plan Commission. As part of the process, there'll be presentations by staff and the applicant's team. Ultimately, the Plan Commission will be afforded an opportunity to ask questions. After the Plan Commission's questions are addressed, then there'll be opportunities for the public to ask questions and provide comments on the proposals and the special approval requests that have been submitted. And ultimately, the Plan Commission will get to a point where they need to make recommendations to the City Council on the various special approvals that have been requested by the Fire Protection District for this particular project. And again, the key there is that the Plan Commission is an appointed body, appointed by the mayor with the consent of the City Council, and they only make recommendations to the City Council. So this is one step in the process. Ultimately, the Plan Commission's recommendations will move forward and be considered by the City Council at a work session meeting. And ultimately, the City Council would approve any of the special requests by ordinance at a formal City Council meeting in the future. So with that, I'd just like to give you a brief overview, summary, you might say, of the key special approvals that have been requested by the fire district as part of this. I think it is important to note that city staff did perform an exhaustive review of this project and prepared a detailed 13-page staff report that was distributed to the Plan Commission. It was made available on the city's website that goes into much more detail on each one of these requests than what I'm going to cover in my summary. But the first set of requests are a series of zoning ordinance text amendments that relate to the proposed outdoor firing range component of this project. The first of those requests involves amending the city's zoning ordinance text to actually add a definition for that type of firing range. It would be very specific. It would be an outdoor firing range for governmental training purposes. So this is not a for-profit type facility that's open to the general public. It's for governmental training purposes only. Then the second text amendment would actually add that particular use as a possible special use in the M1 zoning district. From a zoning perspective, all land uses are either prohibited or permitted, meaning people have a right to operate those uses without going through any type of public hearing, or special uses. And if they are a use is identified as a special use, there has to be a special application, and the applicant needs to go through the type of process, public hearing that we're conducting tonight. The third text amendment that's being requested is to add parking requirements for this type of use. And then finally, a text amendment would modify the city's existing noise performance standards to specifically exempt this type of use from those standards. The next set of approvals that they've submitted for involve special use permits. They've requested a special use permit for the preliminary and final design plans for the project, for the operation of an institutional use in the form of the public safety facility that they're going to present tonight on the property. And then finally, the operation of an outdoor governmental training firing range on the subject site as part of the training facility. There's a series of 8 specific planned unit development. This project is being processed as a planned unit development. There's a series of planned unit development exceptions that they're asking for, where specific details of the project don't necessarily match up and comply with the letter of all the city's regulations and ordinances. Those include, they're looking to have one of the building facades to have a reduced amount of masonry materials on it. They're looking to make use of architectural metal panels on the building facades. They're looking for increased accessory structure heights, one for the training tower, which will be approximately 45 feet in height. There's a ancillary training tower camp classroom facility adjacent to the training tower, and that would have a canopy over it, and that canopy would have a height of 15 foot 6 inches. The firing range would be equipped as proposed with a sound attenuation wall, and that attenuation wall would have a height of 20 foot 6 inches. Those heights all exceed the maximum height of accessory structures allowed by the city's regulations of 15 feet. They're also seeking to use shipping containers to construct the accessory training tower and the training tower classroom facility adjacent to that. Another request involves increasing the maximum width of the only driveway they have proposed for the project, which is on Division Street, up to a maximum width of 150 feet. They're also seeking a parking lot landscape island variance that would allow 4 of the proposed parking lot islands to be paved and striped versus being landscaped. They're seeking to eliminate the requirement for a large loading zone on the property. And then they're seeking 2 sign-related exceptions. One, to allow a second wall sign on the project, and that wall sign would be on the west building facade. It would not face Division Street. It would face the large parking lot that would be constructed on site to support the facility. And then that sign, a second piece of relief that's being requested would be for that sign to have the bottom of the sign only 6 feet above grade, where 10 feet is normally required. So with that, I would turn it back over to the chairman.
Thank you, Ron. So I would now like to ask the Lockport Township Fire Protection District, Chief O'Connor, is that going to be you, to come to the podium and present your case?
There was some conversation about being sworn in, is that,
Yes, I'm sorry. Would you raise your right hand, please?
sure,
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do,
Thank you. You may proceed.
okay. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. Getting over a cold, so I'm hoping my voice doesn't give out. Good evening. I'd like for the opportunity to present tonight. My name is John O'Connor, Fire Chief of Lockport Township Fire Protection District. With me tonight is Jason Estes and Jennifer Valena, the project architects from FGMA. We're also joined by Deputy Chief Ron Huff from the Lockport Police Department, who will discuss the details and the training opportunities of the public safety range. Lastly, Nathan Sevener, Principal Consultant with Soundscape Engineering, will present the findings of the outdoor sound study for the public safety range. Tonight, we'll cover several key topics. Some feedback. Number one is how this facility will improve the fire district operations and reduce response times. The critical training opportunities this facility will provide for police and fire agencies. The importance of realistic training and how it enhances emergency response and improves safety. And an overview of the proposed training complex and what we're building at this facility. As Fire Chief, my primary responsibility, along with our Board of Trustees, is to ensure the fire district is properly staffed, trained, and equipped to handle emergencies across 46 square mile jurisdiction serving 85,000 residents. Additionally, and most importantly, our duty is to ensure that all 108 firefighter paramedics return home safely to their families at the end of every shift. This is no small task when the nature of emergency response is constantly evolving. 40 years ago, the fire district's primarily focused was fire suppression. We then added EMS. Lockport Fire had some of the first paramedics in the state of Illinois starting in 1978. We expanded our services as the need arose to include fire investigations, technical rescue, and hazardous material response. 20 years ago, we added rescue diving, which later evolved to include swiftwater rescue, boat operations, and surface ice rescue. Motor vehicle accidents have been a part of our emergency response for a long time, but the hazards have changed drastically with the introduction of electric vehicles. Sadly, active shooter emergencies are a new reality in this country. These incidents have completely changed how emergency response agencies work together. Lockport Fire, with the support of the Romaville Police Department, was one of the first agencies in Illinois to implement rescue task force training for our personnel. We evolve as the needs of the community evolve. In just the last 5 years, we've established a search and rescue team, which includes a trained canine handler team working alongside drone operators to locate missing persons. We've managed the pandemic, which included a mass casualty event at Stateville Correctional Facility, multiple vaccination clinics for at-risk residents, distribution of free PPE for our senior communities. Unprecedented challenges we hope to never repeat. We've launched a community risk reduction program, which includes mental health services in collaboration with township government to provide free, accessible counseling to our residents. All these specialized services help improve the quality of life of our residents and create a safer community. But it requires extensive ongoing training to ensure our personnel are prepared, proficient, and above all, safe. This is why a dedicated training facility is essential. Our program objective. The Lockport Fire District Public Safety Training Grounds is a collaborative initiative between state legislators, the Lockport Township Fire Protection District, and local police agencies working together to enhance public safety in Lockport Township. This state-of-the-art facility will provide police and fire personnel with advanced, realistic training opportunities that exceed all state-mandated requirements. Centrally located within the fire district on former Stateville property, the proposed training grounds will serve as a hub for interagency coordination, supporting various public safety functions in a unified setting. This project will also include space for emergency vehicle maintenance, allowing the fire district to meet its own vehicle maintenance needs while expanding services to other departments. The goal for this facility is to become self-sustaining through these operations. The purpose of this facility. Number one, improved response times for trainings. Our department is not large enough to take fire companies completely out of service for drills. At times, we must respond to emergencies directly from the training grounds. A centrally located facility will reduce response response times for those instances. Standardized training across the district. A dedicated facility will provide controlled, consistent environment for training, ensuring uniformity in drills and skill development for all firefighters using standardized resources. Enhanced hands-on realistic training. This facility will consolidate all necessary resources in one location, allowing firefighters to train for all types of emergencies. Realistic training is crucial for developing muscle memory and improving performance under pressure. Increase safety and efficiency. The more realistic the training is, the more proficient firefighters become. Increased proficiency leads to safer operations. A well-trained crew can execute tasks efficiently with minimal communication. This saves valuable time in emergency situations where minutes matter. Cost-effective training solutions. Currently, we must rent out-of-district facilities for any live fire training, which takes our companies out of service. Additionally, members pay to take classes at other fire departments or facilities because we don't have the resources to provide those classes internally. Having our own facility keeps companies in district and in service, and also allows us the opportunity to host our own classes. Improved operational readiness. Operational readiness is the ability of a fire department to effectively respond to emergencies. It is reliant upon continuous training, equipment maintenance, personnel preparedness, and interagency coordination. A dedicated facility will enhance all of these factors, ensuring firefighters, police, and EMS are always prepared. Facilitate joint training with other agencies. We conduct monthly training with our mutual aid partners. A high-quality facility with realistic scenarios will enhance interagency coordination, improving response effectiveness. Additionally, it provides a secure space where police and fire can train together. Improved ISO score. The Insurance Service Office assigns public protection classification rating to every fire department. This rating, from 1, the best, to 10, the worst, is based on several criteria. It is provided to the insurance companies across the country. These insurance companies use this rating to help determine insurance rates for a particular community. The Lockport Township Fire Protection District currently holds a Class 2 rating. However, we are unable to gain any facility points without a dedicated training facility that is at least 4 stories tall and on a minimum of 2 acres. Our proposed training facility will allow us to capture the points needed for an ISO 1 score, which could reduce insurance costs for both residents and businesses within our community. Backup EOC, or Emergency Operations Center, for the Will County Emergency Management Agency. In coordination with Will County EMA, we will utilize the training classroom building as backup emergency operations center, ensuring enhanced emergency preparedness for the county. Lastly, improve response times for specialized emergencies. This is an operational efficiency. With the addition of the training and maintenance facility, this will allow the fire district to make several operational changes, which will reduce response times and increase efficiency. Our maintenance program is currently working out of our Station 6. This doesn't take the advantage of the fact that the building is the largest station in our fire district. It has the most staffing and is centrally located in the fire district. Currently, our specialty equipment and our reserve apparatus are scattered throughout the six stations in our fire district. This is not optimal. Moving our maintenance to the Division Street facility, we'll be able to utilize Station 6 for all rescue equipment. We have frontline for District 6, including the ambulance, the tower, and the battalion chief, which run out of there now. But we'll also be able to store a new ARF vehicle, our dive vehicle and boat, technical rescue equipment, our hazmat squad, and our fire investigation vehicle. This will be centrally located, so any type of specialty type emergency will have reduced response times throughout the district. These high-risk, low-frequency, specialized incidents are most specifically when time is of the essence. We have trained personnel throughout the district on every shift But if we can't get that equipment there within a reasonable time, that's when seconds matter the most. This time I'm going to turn it over to Jason Estes. He's going to go over project description. Thank you.
Jason, would you raise your right hand, please? Do
Yes,
you
sir.
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
So, to be able to give you a little understanding of what we're doing on the project. So, the site is just under 13 acres, graphically showing up on the screen, and we're going to kind of walk you through each of those components. We have basically looked at this in terms of multiple phases. Phase 1 and 2 really go after the training and maintenance building, which is the orange box in the upper right. Roads, parking, stormwater detention, and the training pond, the big blue circle in the middle. Gravel extrication area, that would be the gray box at the bottom of the page there. And then a serpentine testing course for driving and equipments. Phase 3 would be bringing in the tower training classroom and the burn tower. Those are the two orange boxes at the bottom of the page there that you see. And phase 4 being the public safety outdoor firing range, constructed and operated by Lockport Police Department. So we'll go into each of these a little bit more information. Sorry, going fast on the click. First and foremost, up front, the training and maintenance facility. This facility in the bottom left is really kind of showing you what's going on. The tan piece is the maintenance portion. What you see below enlarged on the right is the classroom training portion of the facility. The entrance being in the gray spot in the bottom left. The red is the classrooms, dividable into 3 separate classrooms, but also with devising walls that can be open for a larger training event. Up to 50 seats each in each of these classrooms, probably at about 100 to 150 as you go through for a larger function. But this also includes support. Obviously, if you're in a training classroom situation, you need breakout space, you need lunch space, kitchenette, bathroom facilities, and office facilities. So all of this is meant to be self-sustained, and that they'd be able to host any training within their own district, but as the chief stated, to be able to bring additional training in from other departments and commingled training events. Going the wrong way. There we go. The east side of the facility is the maintenance facility. What you see here are dedicated maintenance bays. On the right side, the larger 2 bays. This allows multiple vehicles to be serviced simultaneously without interference from frontline operations. Currently at the Station 6, it does interfere in some of the operations. This is completely isolated. As we know from any vehicles maintenance right now, it's been difficult to get vehicles. So some vehicles are in service positions longer than ideal. Being able to keep this isolated and be able to work on multiple vehicles at a single time would be is an asset. The facility will also provide the centralized location to store all the reserve equipment. Fire companies can drop off vehicles when they come for repairs and be able to swap out vehicles quickly, bringing them back into service, which is critical to the operations for the fire district. Dedicated maintenance facility will create opportunities and expand vehicle maintenance services for other fire departments. This consolidation of resources will support neighboring departments while generating revenue to offset the operating costs here for this facility. What you do see on the right is the function that supports the maintenance operations, and on the left, again, offices and washroom facilities to be able to service the mechanics. We'll go through some elevations just so that you can see things firsthand, and then we have some renderings that would give you context. So what you see on the bottom, the north elevation, is actually the face that would be facing division. The red doors being the maintenance facility and the larger roof on the left side, the east side of the facility. On the right are classrooms. Actually, all those windows are entering into the classrooms that face the north on Division. And then the far right side is the entry, which is the west elevation and the upper face here. What you will see there is the signage that Ron Menser was mentioning that's facing the parking lot on that west elevation. East elevation is facing Stateville to the east, and then south elevation, this is the rear facing the training grounds. What you do see is a mix of materials in all of these. So this would be from the rear of the facility, parking lot, looking northeast. You see a mix of materials. So there's a mix of metal, a mix of masonry, to play off of the industrial, but also more of the rural look. From Division at the entry, again, you see the entry overhang and the signage that would be facing the parking lot. The light color that you see is a mix of materials, stone modular units, and then the gray being a mix of metal. Inside, some renderings of the interior classrooms. This is the larger space opened up as if it was a larger classroom. The main corridor, entries to the classroom, but also pulling on the history. Places to be able to give context and training props that students would be able to come see, and instructors can come out to the hall to be able to utilize as part of their training. Training happens every day. Break area, kitchenette area for breakout space. It does give access to an outside patio. Again, training would be occurring all year round. So being able to have somewhere for everybody to step away during a week-long training session would be valuable. And with that, we're going to talk a little bit about the training tower itself. The training tower is a critical component. Obviously, as the chief said, ISO rating, but it's more about what it provides the district. The 4 stories is a minimal requirement when you look at it, but there are a lot more of these items that this facility will provide. Realistic experience in fire suppression, search, rescue, emergency response. You're able to do live fire training, improve fire suppression techniques. Search and rescue not only in this facility, the tower itself, but on the grounds and pertaining to the pond usage, which we will get to later. All the training in here do have burn rooms, live burn rooms, but you're going to basically learn exposure to heat and smoke conditions, multi-story training scenarios that allow them not only to go up, but stage at a higher level to train going down as if you were working on garden level approaches. Incident command and team coordination. Part of this being a public safety facility is not only for fire, but to be able to come to a scene live with police and understand how the scene is taken into control and assessed. Forcible entry exercises and other props throughout the site. And I think this is video. It's working. To service the training tower, you're going to have a training classroom. When they're done, when they're utilizing evolutions, they need a place to be able to talk through pre-planning, post-evolution response and review. So what this is a place to get out of the weather. If it's raining, if it's just hot, sunny, it's a place to get out of the weather, be able to utilize and re-engage, regroup and re-engage. Construction materials, when you're looking at this, the gray boxes are intermodals, and that allows you to be able to utilize a roof structure. Those pieces are meant to hold equipment and storage that service the burn tower. Everything in there needs to be built, rebuilt, because part of it is that you're burning. You need to be able to have materials and equipment and props. It allows you all of these spaces to be able to keep this equipment. In addition, you're going to have a place to refill air bottles with an SCBA system. And tool and equipment storage based upon the training that's being utilized during those evolutions for the day. As you see, the understanding, it is literally a free span structure between the boxes. Be able to provide shade, but yet airflow through, so that again, staff is able to get out of these conditions. Adjacent to the burn area, you will have an auto extrication training pad. This is where they will take, I like to say donated vehicles sometimes, vehicles that they will practice on. Everything from cutting up vehicles, putting them into precarious situations, as well as learning on some of the new technologies, i.e. the EV vehicles that the chief mentioned earlier. This is a place that they can keep up, do multiple pieces on, and not have to worry about the conditions of the area and other equipments. Stormwater detention training pond. So the pond is being utilized for stormwater, but it's also going to be utilized for training. This pond will be able to pull dual purpose for water rescue operations, including dive operations, boat operations, ROV operations, ice rescue, drafting, and pumping drills. There's a boat launch, drafting pit, which allows them to test all of their pumps, and be able to utilize this with police as well to be able to make sure in terms of rescues for the scenarios. On site, we are planning on having a fire, EMS, and police memorial. Overlooking the pond by the boat ramp, centrally located on the staff path that would get you from the training classroom to the rear training grounds. This is a critical piece and a very important piece that we want to be able to progress. It's not been fully designed yet. This is more concept, but the idea is that we will be looking at developing this as we work through. Yeah, I think I'm passing off. Absolutely.
Tag me in. Thank you. So I think an important part is to give a little bit of history besides behind the outdoor public firing range. In 2023, the Fire District acquired 13 acres of state-built property with the support of several state legislators. Our goal was to establish a dedicated training site to meet all of our operational needs. As part of the initial plan, a small firearm range was included for our arson investigators, who, like police officers, must complete annual firearm qualifications. Recognizing the challenge they faced in securing range time at Department of Corrections or District 5 facilities, we saw this as a solution to that issue. Discussions with the Lockport Police Department revealed they face similar challenges to our arson investigators, but on a much larger scale. While they had secured funding for a firearms range, they lacked a suitable location to build it. They had the funding and expertise, and we had the land next to Stateville. The idea emerged to combine resources and expand the project from a fire training facility into a public safety training facility that could serve both fire and police agencies in Lockport Township. This includes not just Lockport Police, but also Crest Hill, Romeoville, Lewis University, and Lockport Park Police agencies having access to training the facility at no cost to those departments. The state granted the land exclusively to the fire department. We had no obligation to share any portion of it. But is that what's best for the community? Police agencies face the same training challenges as fire departments. By working together and sharing resources, we can enhance public safety while maximizing taxpayer dollars, ensuring both firefighters and law enforcement officers receive high-quality training they need to protect our community. This time, I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief Ron Huff from Lockport Police Department.
Ron, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. As the chief said, my name is Ron Huff. I'm the deputy chief of the Lockport Police Department. But more important for this conversation is that I spent the last 20 years as a firearms instructor and a range master with the police department. So shooting ranges is kind of something I've done. So that's why I'm speaking to you today. So the mutual cooperation and support between law enforcement, the 5 law enforcement agencies in the fire district, and the fire district itself is critical to serve the community the best and all the residents who live here. Unfortunately, other areas have police and fire departments that don't always cooperate. This is a unique opportunity to bring all these agencies together into a single training ground that provides limitless opportunities. Currently, the state mandates for police training in Illinois are ever increasing. We're at 18 classes that we have to attend. In addition to basic training, firearms qualifications, and any other ancillary training. So this doesn't include specialized training. These are just basic things that we have to have. To do that, you need the space to train. This facility will allow us to train in certain classes and maintain our proficiencies in things like ballistic shield deployments to protect our officers from gunfire. Less lethal munitions training, which is critical to de-escalating situations without having to use lethal force. High-risk traffic stops, active shooter and rescue task force response, which is something 20, 30 years ago was not a priority for law enforcement, which unfortunately has become that. And we've integrated the fire department into that response because we're not paramedics. We found that we can't help people who are injured, and the fire department can't help if they're outside. So we need to work together to be able to bring the fire department into the hot zone. And as Chief O'Connor said, in Will County, Lockport Township Fire Protection District has been on the cutting edge of that. Deadly force decision-making using paint bullets, officer and citizen down rescue training, taser scenario-based training, drone deployment training, and then a multitude of other joint trainings with fire, EMS, and local law enforcement. Having a multi-use space like a firing range that you don't have to use just to shoot guns, located next to a 4-story tower that you just don't only have to burn things in, that can be used as interior training space for law enforcement, as well as a large classroom, just really sets it to the point that you can use your own imagination and do everything you need to do in a single space. And that's not just us, that's every agency within the fire district. For this range itself, only public safety agencies within the Lockport Township Fire District will be allowed to use the range. That's just 5 of them. The utilization will be free of charge for those agencies. And under the supervision of a range master from our police department who will write the guidelines for its use and operations. We won't be there for every shoot. Understand that. These departments will be required to provide their own range masters to oversee their shoots. But they have to operate within the guidelines that are agreed upon by us in the fire district. This course will not be open to the public. The Lockport Police Department is not interested in running a for-profit firing range. I'm really not interested in running a firing range for 100 police agencies. 5 is perfectly manageable, but I have other things to do in my daily job than to just schedule police departments to come in and out and shoot. So that's not something we're ever looking to expand. The range facility will be owned by the Lockport Township Fire Protection District, but it will be designed, built, and operated by the Lockport Police Department. The intergovernmental agreement will be drafted between us and the fire district that sets out those parameters. Additional IGAs will be then agreed upon between the other police departments that want to use the range and the fire district as well to set those guidelines. A safety plan will be provided to all these agencies who want to use the range, meeting the requirements of the NRA's range manual, guide to planning and construction for a firing range. If you're super interested in reading some nighttime reading, I suggest reading all 27 chapters of it. It covers the design, construction, maintenance, and operational guidelines for firing ranges. It's a nationally accepted standard. For the proposed operation, where the proposal is to start no earlier than 7 a.m. and no later than 10 p.m. Monday through Friday to use the firing range. On Saturdays and Sundays, the firing range will be in use not outside of the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's important to note that this won't be every day. The gunfire won't be generated from that range every day. The Lockport Police Department shoots about 15 times a year. The Crest Police Department is probably somewhere similar. The utilization for the Park District Police and Lewis University are probably lower, significantly lower. And the Romeoville Police Department has already indicated they only wish to use the range for their rifle training, as they already have an indoor firing range at their police department for handgun training. And the vast majority of law enforcement firearms training is done with a handgun, not the rifle. Also, the majority of the training takes place between March and October. For cops, we don't want to be cold. You know, we keep the heat on when it gets a little bit chilly outside in our squad cars. So we don't put our officers out in inclement weather, you know, in negative 20 degree weather in February. So, like, for example, our first shoot of the year will actually be happening next week. And then our last shoot of the year typically happens before Halloween. So we're really talking about roughly a 7-month span of the year. For the night shoots, we want to have it only be a maximum of once per week. But it's important to note that that doesn't mean it will happen once per week that we'll be out there shooting until 10 p.m. Lockport Police Department shoots 4 times a year at night. That's it. The other agencies are probably there or less. So maybe a maximum of about 20 nights throughout the year, but that's probably not even accurate. That's probably an overestimation. So, but we want to keep that to 1 night a week so that, I know the concern is we don't want to be kept up by gunfire late at night. This will limit it to 1 day a week. Also, it's limiting it to 10 p.m. For example, our shoot next week was actually until 11 p.m. at the Department of Corrections range. So we're cutting an hour from what we're currently using. It'll be a 100-yard shooting range, which is 110 feet wide east to west, 375 feet long north to south. The extra, doing the math there, the extra 75 feet encompasses the distance behind the firing line for officers to reload ammunition, store equipment, things like that. There will be a 20 by 60 concrete pad on the north side of the property where we'll install a canopy structure. That is to protect officers from inclement weather and also from the sun, very similar to the canopy structure, that not the same size or scope, but for the same purpose of the canopy structure that's being constructed by the burn tower. Currently, there's a proposed additional 20 by 60 concrete pad with plumbing and electric roughed in for a potential future building. That building is not currently budgeted or in the plans. It's just simply an opportunity while the site is being developed and electric and plumbing services are being supplied to put that in without having to disrupt any pavement or other services that are already installed. So there is not currently a plan to put a building on the property. That would be a future development. Between the east end of the covered area and concrete pad and then the berm, there'd be a 10-foot pass-through for vehicles needing access to the range. We need to be able to cut the grass. We need to be able to drive target stands down to the end of the range. And heaven forbid, we need access for an ambulance in case somebody's hurt. So that's why we need that 10-foot space. That's why we can't extend the acoustic wall the entire back width of the range. We have to be able to get vehicles onto the range. There will be spotlights on light poles inside the firing range for nighttime shooting. Those lights will be pointed downrange, so they'll be pointed at the berm, facing to the south. Those lights will be directed towards the ground, not into the air. And additionally, those lights will only be on and in use when training is taking place. So again, a maximum of 1 night per week till 10 p.m. Then those lights will be turned off. They will not be a permanent feature that they'll be on all the time. They're not meant to be security lights. Mitigation enhancements for sound and safety include 25 or 24-foot berms around 3 sides of the range. On the 4th side will be a 20-foot high sounded barrier wall. That wall is located behind the shooters to reflect the noise from the gunshots away from the homes to the south. I'm sorry, the homes to the north. We're proposing a 100-yard range. The current standard is that you require an 18-foot backstop berm for a 100-yard firing range. Our proposal is to increase that by 33% to 24 feet. The goal of that is to try to provide, and then to put that same berm along the sides to provide as much sound mitigation as we possibly can, to try to trap as much noise as we can into the bowl of the range itself, and then reflect the noise up. So this will be a private outdoor public safety range proposed exclusively for the use by public safety agencies who work and operate within the Lockport Township Fire Protection District. The range is being designed by a professional architect organization, or professional architect, FGMA Architects, with assistance from the range masters of the Lockport Police Department. And this is not just us sitting with a napkin and sketching things out. We'll have professionals who know how to build berms and put in the proper safety features that we require. It will be owned by the Fire Protection District, but is operated and supervised by the Lockport Police Department as defined in our IGA. For environmental protection, this range will be designed and built such that it complies with the US EPA best management practices for lead and outdoor shooting ranges. I was always concerned about lead getting into groundwater when we're talking about firing ranges. The use of natural vegetation to help prevent erosion control and to slow down water runoff will be used on the berms themselves, and that soil reclamation will be used within the impact zone of where the bullets land downrange in accordance with the standards set by the EPA, which is currently 100,000 rounds per firing line. So there will be 15 firing positions proposed. So every 100,000 rounds that each of those lanes put downrange, we will remediate the soil, we'll pull it out. You can use soil washing, take the lead out, put the soil back on. That's that roughly 6 foot of dirt just where the bullets are impacting. And then the range will also be designed to prevent any contamination of a waterway as defined by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Chief Huff mentioned a sound barrier wall behind the shooting line. This is a sound barrier wall system. It's, as stated, it's going to be 20 feet tall. It's perforated fiberglass panels meant to be exterior with a structural steel frame. This is very similar to conditions that many of you probably have seen down an interstate in terms of sound panels on the side of a highway. You see them around airports and industrial areas, equipments. As stated, we did leave a partial opening on the east side for access. Otherwise, this goes berm to that access point on the east. And with that, one more person.
State your name.
Nathan Sevner,
You-
Principal Consultant, Soundscape Engineering.
Okay, thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so
I
help
do.
you God?
Yes.
All right, proceed.
Okay. My company was asked to assess the sound mitigation that was being proposed for the project and to see how effective it was. So let's see what we got on this slide. We looked at two types of firearms, an AR-15 and a handgun. Our understanding is most of the time the handguns will be used. We also use a relatively loud handgun. The reason we use two different types of firearms is because they don't, these are both relatively loud weapons, but they do not have the same directivity. The handguns tend to send more energy backwards than the rifles do, and so we looked at both of those The sound levels that you see here on the slide are maximum sound levels. This is, it's not an average over time. This is not quite an instantaneous, but as far as your ear is concerned, it's pretty much an instantaneous sound level. The nearest residences are these ones to the northwest, which are about 2,200 feet away. And I'm going to show you, we have the mitigation that's being put in place for sound was already discussed, but there's a series of berms, and then there's a sound wall behind. Let's see if I can, oh, there we go. Okay. So we have here our two slides. One on the left is without any sound mitigation. The slide on the right is with the sound mitigation, with the berms and the wall. And what you're seeing here are just noise contours, like topographic contours, only with sound levels. And yeah, it's pretty small up there, but the colors represent the change in sound level as the sound propagates away from the range. See, you can see this is both with the rifle. The handgun is similar, slightly different, but this is with the rifle. You can see a little better here. A little zoomed in some. You do see the houses to the northwest a little better on this image. So with these berms in place, with the wall behind, and we looked at the performance of the wall in terms of its acoustical performance, how absorptive it is and how much sound does it block. Column on the right shows the attenuation that we're getting from the berms on the wall. So anywhere from 2 decibels, which is quite small, up to 12 decibels. But I should say that 2 decibels that's quite small is because that we picked a sampling of receiver locations at near residences. That's what these receiver locations 1 through 13 mostly are. They're residential near residences. That location that only has a 2 decibel reduction, location 4, is actually a very long ways away. So it's not getting very loud in the first place. It's very quiet there, which is why when you get a long ways away from a barrier, like these berms or these walls, they're not as effective. They're most effective for receiver locations for houses that are closer to the range. So that one location is several, I'm not sure how far it is, it's quite a ways away. So for these receiver locations, probably if you didn't see where these were, I think it's the last 3, 11, 12, and 13, I believe, that are to the northwest, near the houses to the northwest. And we're seeing about an 8 to 12 decibel reduction due to the berms in the wall. And to try to put that into perspective, what we usually say is that a 2 to 3 decibel reduction is not really noticeable. And a 5 to 6 decibel reduction is easily noticeable and significant. A 10 decibel reduction is cutting the sound level in half. So, all right. That's it. That's it.
In closing, the Lockport Township Fire Protection District, in partnership with local law enforcement, remains committed to providing our first responders with realistic, high-quality training. This investment enhances emergency response, strengthens coordination between fire and police agencies, and ultimately improves community safety. Our public safety training facility is more than just an infrastructure project. It is a critical investment in the safety of both our personnel and the residents who depend on us in most urgent moments. This initiative reflects a collaboration among state legislators, police and fire agencies, and local government, ensuring the responsible use of taxpayer dollars to protect our community and those who serve it. Before my time is up, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank those who stepped up in support of this project. State Representative Natalie Manley, State Senator Meg Lofgren Campbell, Will County EMA Director Allison Anderson, Police Chiefs Ed Clark of Crest Hill, Rich Harain of Lockport, Mike Zagato of Lewis University, and Brent Hermonica of Romeoville. Each of them provided letters of support attached to the PUD application. I'd also like to thank FGMA for all their work on this project and my Board of Trustees for their support. These guys believe in this project as much as I do. I'd like to take a moment to thank city staff. This has been, as they described, a long process with a lot of work and a sizable stack of information. They have been helpful through this long event and guiding us through something we've never been through before. But I think, and I think they feel as well, this is an important initiative that's going to better help our community. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone who came out and supported tonight. Behind me stand police officers and firefighters who protect our community. They are here because your vote directly impacts them. On the street, we rely upon each other. The better trained we are, the safer we will be, and the safer our community will be. Thank you for your time and consideration, and we look forward to your support in bringing this vision to life.
Thank you, Chief. If you stand there just a minute, we're going to give our commissioners each a chance to ask some questions. Commissioner Peterson, we'll start with you. Do you have any questions of the chief? And this?
Well, first of all, everybody did a very good job. It was very good. I just have one question for the chief, please. You said 15 lanes of fire, correct?
That's correct.
And so how many officers would be maybe training at the same time?
So no more than 15, that actually is only for our night shoots, and because we get out more of the department because we do less of them a year. Typically, we only allow up to about 7 officers on the range at a time, but it could be a maximum of 15.
Okay, that's all, thanks.
Commissioner Flynn?
I'm good.
Okay. Commissioner Stanton, any questions?
No, I'd like to make a comment. It's very well planned. It's very well planned and very thorough with the engineers, architects, etc. So it's a very good presentation that you guys have given. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carroll?
The only question I have is the intensity or the volume of the firing that's going to be going on in the firing range. What is that equivalent to? You know, we're talking something 40 some odd decibels.
So on this slide, I don't know, Nathan, do you want to talk a little bit on it? There's a comparison decibel chart on the right that I'll let Nathan talk more.
Well,
I don't know what 46 decibels are either, so I think this is helpful.
I see this and I noticed here like a household refrigerator, 55 decibels, and you know, I don't know. I'm just questioning it, and
I didn't see that little chart till just now, actually. But anyway, without even looking at it, I'll see if I can answer your question. So, for perspective, when we talk to each other at maybe not at this distance with amplification, but just talking to each other, that's about 60 decibels on average, where our voice is kind of going up and down as we talk. So the average is about 60 decibels. It's not a direct comparison with gunfire because of the impulsive nature of gunfire. You can hear it and pick it out from the background. It makes it, because of that time characteristic, it makes it a little easier to hear than a more continuous noise. But 40 decibels, as I was saying before, each 10 decibel change is about a doubling or halving of the sound level. And it's not linear. If we have two things happening at the same time, which isn't usually the case with gunfire because it happens very briefly. So it's rare that two shots would actually happen at the same time. But if they did, that's only a 3 decibel change. And it's actually just a barely perceptible change if they're truly happening at the same time. So each one of these, if it's 40 compared to people talking, that's 2 halvings of the sound level. So you drop it by 10 decibels down to 50, it's half as loud. Drop it another down to 40, then that would be
So
a
that
quarter
would-
as loud.
So that would be a little bit less than 2 people having a conversation X number of feet from each other then.
It would be quite a lot less, yeah, than 2 people having a conversation like that, yeah.
I have one other question, Bill. There's a lot of valuable equipment that would be stored or in that fire protection facility. Will you have a fence around this thing, or is it gonna be out in the open, or what?
There will be no vehicles stored outdoors, so it's a secure building.
Okay.
What's gonna be stored there is all our reserve equipment, so in case something breaks, we have an older vehicle that's stocked and ready to go, and we can swap out, so nothing's out of service, we don't skip a beat. But there's a dedicated area with those bays strictly for reserve equipment, and it's gonna be a secure building.
Okay, one of my other concerns was the detention pond. That's an open invitation for somebody to do something there, and do you think that'll cause any problems? You know, you got open water and a boat ramp there, and
Yeah, we don't see it any different than any other water retention pond in any subdivision. And there are instances, and that's why we have a dive team that we respond to. But there's quite a few bodies of water in this fire district, and most subdivisions do have some sort of water retention area that people fish. But this won't be open to the public, and this will be staffed during the day between 7:30 and 3:30. We may be even doing training later than that, but our mechanic will be there. There'll be a gate to not allow cars to come into the parking lot in the front. So that area will be secure, and it's not going to be open to the public for fishing or anything like that.
okay, fine, thank you.
Welcome.
Commissioner Slobodzewski.
Yes, very impressive and detailed presentations. One question I do have is, the cost of this facility is approximately $12 million.
It's more than that. It's about, total, we're taking out a bond for $15 million, and then we have some capital money in addition to that. But that was the original, when we estimated the project with our finance guy. I mean, we're going on a year and a half now. So I'm anticipating those numbers are at least very close to what they were. But it's going to be a bond, not going through the taxpayers. It's going to be very similar to a mortgage. We have a finance guy through our 10-year financial forecast that has marched out our payments accordingly. So this will be no additional taxes for any taxpayers. And like we said, we talked about, we're not charging any police departments to utilize the training. This is something that benefits everyone.
Okay, my question is, what would be the additional cost to have an indoor shooting range? What added cost would it be?
Probably $10 million. Ron, I don't know if you could touch on it, or if you've done indoor ranges?
We do shooting ranges for many law enforcement. Just to be able to do a pistol range, not a long gun, which is what Chief Huff talked about. Just do a pistol range indoor, probably 7 lane instead of the 15 lane that's being proposed. You're in for probably another $2.5 million just for that. To go at this length, yeah, you'd probably be somewhere in the $8 million plus range to be able to get a long gun. There's a lot of equipment, air movement, air exchange, and other elements that need to be done, as well as structural elements through. So it's a substantial upcharge.
Okay. I mean, the land is already gifted, so you have cost savings right there. So, something to look at.
Commissioner Zerda.
Thank you. I have no questions. I just want to say thank you for the in-detailed proposal you guys came up with. It was very nice to read through this for the last week. It was some great information, and I think you guys have done your extreme diligence to present this to us.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the city staff that wants to ask a question before we open it up? Anyone? No one? Okay, how many of you in the audience are planning on coming to the podium to ask a question?
To ask a question or to make a comment?
Either one, I'm sorry, either one? Only three? Okay, I tell you what, if you would stand up, I'll swear you in now, and then you feel free to come up and, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, why don't we start with you, sir, and then we'll work our way back.
And if anybody has a question of somebody, could you please just direct the question to whomever of the four presenters that there were. If you're just making a comment, feel free to make the comment.
Mr. Chairman and esteemed members of the Planning Commission and leaders from our city, and our first responders that are in attendance, I want to thank everybody for their presentation and their comments so far today and for your time. My name is Sean Hillman. I live on Borio Drive in Crest Hill, where I've been a proud resident of Crest Hill for over 20 years. I grew up in a town somewhat reminiscent of Crest Hill, Sycamore, Illinois. And it was there that my father-in-law served his community as a member of the fire department for 30 years before retiring as assistant chief. Being in close proximity to first responders in our community for so long gave me a deep appreciation for all that they do in every community, including ours. The Lockport Fire Protection District and our police departments are no exception. This has to be one of the busiest public services in the state of Illinois, if the amount of sirens and emergency vehicles that we hear are any indication. The hardworking men and women on the front line of our community should be heralded and applauded for amazing, tireless, and too often thankless work that they do to keep our community safe. Thank you. I say proud resident because while I have been somewhat dispirited by opportunities for development that I think Crest Hill has missed out on, I'm glad to be a member of a community that cares for its residents and strives to provide a forward-looking, if not careful, approach to growth. All that is to say that we have potential here. On our official city website, we have an introductory video about all of the things that make Crest Hill great. There's a video titled Strategic Location. In this vignette, CEO of Will County Center for Economic Development, Mr. John Grueling, states that Crest Hill's biggest advantage for new and expanding business is its location. He goes on to point out, accurately so, that we are in a prime position to provide interested businesses incredible market reach, particularly to retail, commercial, as well as industrial and logistics. We have potential. And while slower than some of us would have maybe liked to see, we have realized the Larkin Avenue and Weber Road corridor build up a little bit over time as well. In the past 20 years that I've lived here, we have seen a refreshing of businesses and storefronts, including new construction to welcome several food establishments, retail storefronts, auto care centers, big box store like Menards. We've seen a productive partnership and support for neighbors such as Siegel's Cottonwood Farm. We've even seen a couple of new fuel and car wash stations go up as well, not to mention a new library and this beautiful new city hall. There's room for more, which means we have potential. Not mentioned in the above is our attractiveness and prime locale for possible healthcare businesses and centers as well. In fact, at a recent city council meeting, it was brought up that the land adjacent to this proposed training center and gun range being discussed tonight might be a prospective place for possible future healthcare related businesses. I find conversations like this exciting. How great would it be to give our residents closer access to facilities like this where we can truly say that we're taking care of our own? We have potential. Crest Hill has acreage yet to develop. We have room for more parks, more houses, more landscaping, more businesses, more economic and retail growth, just like that video touted. My question is this: will the sounds of gunshots help us realize this potential? Will having a firing range, however important it may be, close to homes in a competitive real estate market and an area that is trying to attract growth that we say we want, is that going to help? I don't believe it will. I can't imagine a business or an organization or even a healthcare organization coming to survey our wonderful city and available space and hear gunshots and think, this is where I want to set up shop. I have read the plan for the 24-inch berm to surround the range on all sides and seen a very detailed and well thought out presentation tonight. But frankly, a mile or so down the road is an existing shooting range for the Illinois State Police that has a berm, and I can tell you I can hear those gunshots from my house clear as day. I don't necessarily agree with or believe, although I do not have the education, I will acknowledge that the sound barriers proposed for this new center will do what they say they will do to keep gunfire from filling my neighborhood. As I stated in my earlier remarks, I'm a staunch supporter of our first responders. I am excited to see development towards the training and support of the people that serve our community. The facilities and the instructional spaces and the other things that they have planned for this are important improvements to be made to serve those who serve us, our first responders. But I believe that we have a responsibility to serve the residents of the community as well. If my research is correct, Lockport Township Fire Protection District covers about 46 square miles. Is putting a gun range next to one of our neighborhoods or right next to land where we hope prospective businesses will find attractive in order to bring more development and revenue to our community, is putting a gun range there a good idea? I respectfully ask and challenge the leadership of this community and this commission, is there nowhere else that we can consider putting a gun range, even if it's on the east side of this property closer to Stateville? Is an indoor or underground range with sound provisions not an option? Thank you, Commissioner, for asking the question. Is even partnering with other local gun ranges for some activities, not long range, but such as Mega Sports, the indoor range over on Route 30, or the indoor range mentioned, or the range mentioned in Romeoville, are those not options to explore as well? Chief O'Connor asked in his presentation what is best for our community. I asked the same. I would hate to see us rush into this plan for the sake of development of this now, while killing our potential future with literal gunfire. I ask that this commission please carefully reconsider phase 4 of this project. Thank you again to the first responders, to those who presented for the commission for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. Chief O'Connor?
Can I answer some of the questions?
Sure, let's go back up there.
I'm not a gun expert, and I don't claim to be. I have, in recent years, gotten a crash course in gun ranges, and we've examined, basically, essentially from our first workshop, some of the concerns that was addressed by the community in the Boreal area, and we changed a lot on how we designed this gun range. We took a look at the District 5 and Department of Corrections gun ranges. And we talked to a lot of experts on how sound travels. Some of the things that we learned, we modified how we built our gun range. A couple things that we talked about is higher berms, and not just berms on the back end, like District 5 and Department of Corrections, but berms surrounding the entire area. Sound goes up. Once it deflects in the thing, it goes up. It does not come down. The louder direction of the gun is the direction of the gunfire. So we changed our location of where our gun range was on that property, and we changed the direction of the gunfire to make sure it does not point towards a residential area. Department of Corrections and District 5 point almost directly at the subdivision in Boreal Drive where the loudest gunfire is. They have a berm only on the back end. They don't have a berm on the side. None of them have any type of sound mitigation on the back. On all four sides, we have sound mitigation and trying to be good partners with the residents in our community and respectful of some of their concerns. Another point to make out is all the police agencies in the northern Illinois area, including State of Chicago, come down to District 5 and Department of Corrections for qualification for their fire. All 5 agencies that would shoot at this facility shoot at those 2 locations So you have 5 agencies that are shooting at a quieter range. If this is not approved, they're back to shooting at the 2 louder ranges that are pointing directly at the subdivision on Boreal Drive. Our goal is, and some of the struggles that I brought up earlier, is finding range time. Sometimes having to go early in the morning or very late at night. And you guys know, you can hear the gunfire on a clear night in the city of Lockport. We're very conscientious of that, and have done everything within our power outside of an indoor range. And I actually have had communication with some alderpersons about would we be open if somehow funding came available from another agency or from federal funding or state funding to do an indoor. And I'm like, of course we would, you know. But to have an extra $8 million, we don't. One of the slides, and I didn't talk about it further, is that we wanted to get into partnership with Tri-River Police Training. The original plan was, and they provide a lot of continuing education training for a tri-county area, including some of our agencies. We're going to have their offices in there. We're going to have training classrooms to build out for them. We couldn't afford to build it for them. They can't own anything, so they were going to lease out to us. But we have to be financially responsible to our taxpayers as well. So this is something that, within our limitations, we could not provide them. So we had to cut them out of the deal. We're a very fiscally conservative department, and we run a very lean operation. This is not something that we take very lightly, and we want to we have a lot of expenses too. You know, being an organization this size, we don't have an extra $8 million to put towards a gun range. This seemed like the best option for all the agencies involved, while trying to add extra mitigation efforts that no other range in the area is doing. So I hope I was able to answer some of the questions.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Malloy. I just want to tell you all that I shoot, but I shoot a handgun. When I shoot a handgun, I do wear protective ear coverings. I have shot a rifle in the outside, never indoors. But an AR-15 has got to come off sounding like a cannon. And that's the part I'm worried about for the citizens of Crest Hill. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Todd Reedich. I'm a second-generation Lockport Township firefighter. My father served for 42 years for this area. I served for 28, and I retired as lieutenant a few years ago. Currently, I am the president of the Board of Trustees for Lockport Township Fire District. When I started back in the early 90s here at Crest Hill on Wood Street, we had 3 people at our station. Crest Hill Police had 2 people on the street. We used to teach them how to tie to the hydrant if we had a house fire, because we didn't have the people. They taught us how to protect them on an ambulance call to deal with a difficult subject. We worked together, we had each other's backs, and we will continue to have Crest Hill's back. Romeoville's back, Lockport's back, all the police officers. It's amazing how much time you actually spend on each side of the division. Whether some people say the cops are the greatest, firemen are the greatest. They're the best ever. They put their lines on the lives for everybody. So we, as a district, we are doing a significant investment for our training for everyone. We don't want to, niche out law enforcement compared to the firefighters. We want everybody to train together to be one. I speak 100% behind this project. It's only going to make our city and area the safest. Thank you for your consideration. If we back the blue, hopefully you will also. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Todd. Next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Claudia Gazelle. My address is 16219 Michigan Court. Don't have the speech that Sean did, which that was amazing speech. Thank you for presenting Ward 2. I'm here just on behalf of some residents. I will do my part when it comes to the work session. But good to see you all, commissioners, and good to see you, Chief. I know you passed by me. You want to say hello, but hello, hello. Welcome to our city. Yes. One of the board members for our Glen Committee asked me to represent the residents tonight, and I have some questions as well for some of you and some of the commissioners here. This letter was sent to us, to me, and to Alderman Darrell Jefferson, which is here. He represents Ward 2 as well. Alderman Gazelle and Alderman Darrell Jefferson. I'm sorry I won't be able to make it. I am out of town. To all the council, commissioners, and Lockport Fire Department. My name is Julie. I'm at Glen Vista, Lane, and Boreal. I can hear the gun range on Route 53 very clearly, and most days is there even as light breeze. I terrorize my dog. Veterans prevent quiet enjoyment of our homes and will lower our home's value, as no one would want to move near it due to the sound. The new emergency site is much closer to our homes, so it's fair to expect the noise would be significantly worse than the Route 53 range. I love our emergency workers. I want a fireman or policeman to train and work in harmony. However, we can't give them harmony at the expense of so many local residents less than 1 mile of the facility. Gun range must be indoors or eliminated. Also, I can't imagine the terror it would create for the prisoners in the jail that when they rebuild next door. What resource would the homeowners have if they built the gun range and outdoor? These promises, it was frequent and loud. Do we call the police to get them to stop? Do we go to court with documentation that everyone's promised not to disturb us? Thank you for advocating on behalf of our community. Julianne Pierce, this is her name. She wanted me to say her full legal name. Now, I have some questions here from other residents. And just to retouch on Ron Messner, what you stated, correct. You all advisor board right here. The council will override the approval by the Plan Commission by 2/3 majority vote. So you only a recommendation. But I'm going to stand from you here as a representative of my Ward 2 to think about your vote tonight. We are not against the facility. I think the facility, it's beautiful. It's going to bring a lot of good things to our city. It's going to bring more traffic. It's going to help everyone to train better. As some of you know, my son is a policeman, and I know there's a couple of residents here behind me that they have family as a policeman. I know what it takes to train. My son got hurt last year, and he was set back 3 months. You know why? Because he was a new police. Did he need it to learn more? Yes. Did he need it to train more? Of course. But why are you mixing these two things together? Here is the problem. You guys can vote on this tonight, and if it comes to council, you vote it down, you're voting the whole facility. And I have a question for the attorney. If they don't separate the gun range from the facility, if we vote it down, the whole thing is gone, correct?
Not necessarily.
Not necessary?
They're asking for a text amendment.
Okay, I just want to make sure that for, so I'm going to ask a couple more questions from the residents. One of the questions I have is, is any of the existing firemen and policemen from Lockport, they live close to a fire range? That's one question, so if somebody can answer it. The other question they ask it is future development. That's, you keep saying future development. When are we talking future development? We're talking a year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years? What is the time frame for that? Can somebody answer that for me? You don't have the answer for that?
Future development of what?
I think some of the presentation was that the gun range is gonna be in the future. What we're talking about, long-term, short-term?
Oh, short term.
Short-term, like a year, 2? That's what we're talking about, okay. Yeah, that's an issue. So, is anyone of you aware that Crest Hill will be fighting for the 200-acre of Weber Road? I'm thinking of the future of Crest Hill, not just right now. I'm thinking, I'm concerned about long-term. Do you think any developers are gonna come build homes? Because that was the plan that we had, and the plan that we presented to the state, that we would build commercial with rooftop. Do you think anyone's gonna come and build next to a fire range? We're landlocked. We only have limited land. We only have limited chances. I'm not just thinking for now, I'm thinking for the future as well. Because any decision that we make right now, it affects the future. And you are right, thank you. You're the only commissioner that asked, why don't you do an indoor? They seem that they reach out to all the representatives, but nobody reached out to the representative asking how we can get funds between all three entities, like Stateville, the state, and Lockport. Why we don't all work together on building something for the future? Crest Hill had a plan, we had a plan to build this beautiful facility for our residents, for our policemen. I'm so happy we're able to give finally our policemen a nice building that they can be proud of, they can come, and they have lockers finally, because they didn't even have lockers in the past, okay? And we have plans that empty vacant lot between us here and the library to build a park for our residents. And what happened? We can't build it. It's been 2 years because things happen. We overspend on this building and now we're not able to build a park. But it is our goal to build a park eventually when we get the money. That was our goal. No matter what, that's gonna be goal. And that should be all of you here, goal is, if you care about the residents, and if it's so important, why don't you put it, as you said, it's gonna be future development, why don't you save the money and build an indoor facility? But nobody's gonna answer that question as well. We have 2 representatives here from Carolina. Do you guys recall when you used to come? Full house we used to have because of the trucking of a division, correct? Because you didn't like the noise of backing up trucks. When Carolina resident, they bought next to a development area, you knew there was going to be commercial and there's going to be warehouses there. When we bought in our house, we bought beside empty land. They would never told us they were going to build a gun range. And the fact that it's going to be till 10 p.m., some people go to bed 8, 9. People are going to get up 4 to 5 to go to work. They're going to sleep early. And I've sat here for many years, and people came and promised us many things, and nothing happens. They say, oh, we're only going to park a couple cars, and then you see a bunch of cars. We're only going to do this, and you're going to see who's going to monitor this. Crest Hill Police going to monitor this? Who's going to monitor the hours? The other questions that some of the residents have is, police, department, 15 times citizens, I get this text message this morning. 15 times, the chief of the PD said 15 times for Lockport, 50 times for Crest Hill, and not much we're gonna shoot. So if you're not gonna shoot that much, why are you insisting on building this? If you're not gonna use it so much, why do you wanna spend all these $1 million for only a couple use? I would like these answers, and I would like for you commissioners to really think about the future of Crest Hill as the resident. Again, I'm not against the facility. None of the residents are against the facilities because I've got a lot of calls. I've talked to a lot of people who love the facility. That's gonna be beautiful, but we are against the gun range. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Okay, I think one more.
Yes.
There you go.
Good evening. My name is John Bodisich. I'm a lifelong resident of Crest Hill. Born and raised on Pleasant Drive. I currently live on Hess Drive. I hear the gunfire. Everybody in this room that lives in Crest Hill, Lockport, Gillette area probably hear gunfire. The chief had talked about it earlier. These agencies, they're still going to continue to shoot. You're going to hear the gunfire that's going to be louder compared to what ours is going to be. Basically, state-of-the-art outdoor facility at a reasonable cost, partnership with another basically taxing body. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Putting our resources together to help each other out to be cost effective. Stateville, District 5, has been there since, I don't know, 1960s, that shooting range. Claudia, you built your house when? Everybody that lives in that border subdivision built that subdivision, hopefully knowing that there was a gun range there. 2 of them, actually 3 of them. A rifle range for Stateville, a pistol range, and also District 5. Their firing ranges are not going to compare to what we offer. Development. If a development comes in next to Menards, they're going to hear gunfire right now. And they're going to hear ours, but it's not going to be as loud. And not going to be as often. It's not going to be till 11 o'clock. Be to 10 o'clock maybe, when they night shoot. So, to stop this project because of some gunfire versus the benefits that this is going to provide for all these men and women behind me and you as citizens, it just doesn't weigh. The gunfire happens. I haven't heard gunfire in a while, but when the wind blows certain ways, you'll hear it. And you're going to hear it more in Boreal if the wind's out of the southeast. And you're going to hear it more in Ward 2 or Ward 1 if it's out of the north, just the way it is. There's just no comparison between what we're putting together compared to what Stateville and District 5 has. I guess when we talk about growth, there's been years of growth at Weber Road, but we're turning from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, as I remember. Where's the growth? Is it because of the gun ranges, or is it because of something else? You can't build a subdivision to the east of Boreal because it's Upper Park District. They took all that land. Stateville, are they going to give up any more land? I don't think so. We got lucky, we got this. Centrally located. Able to train with the men and women in this township is big. I don't know how often we train with the city of Crest Hill right now. Probably not very often. I do know things changed from when I used to work. If there was an active shooter, the cops went in. We waited for the cops to come out. We waited too long to go in until it was deemed safe. We all know probably the outcome is when we wait too long on a shooting victim. Nowadays, we're right behind the cops going in. That's what we do. What better way to have a facility, not just to shoot a gun, but to get into those buildings and act out a whole scenario of an active shooter or whatever it may be. You guys didn't hear this, and I'll end with this, but about 45 minutes ago,
these men and women, a handful of them, went on a call. The cops over here in the corner went on a call. It was for a shooting in Crest Hill. Right there, my heart kind of sank because I'm like, hopefully they're all gonna be all right. Hopefully they come back. All of them come back. I see the chief over there. I'm assuming everything went pretty well. But do we have the training, continuous training, that we do every day, Monday through Sunday? And the ability to work with these police officers on a regular basis is huge. It could save our lives, it could save their lives. 30-some years ago, I was on a call. First one there, I picked up an officer off the street. He passed away. I do not want that to happen again because of a sound of a gunfire 2,200 feet away or 4 miles away or however the wind blows. That should not stop us being the best trained fire department, police department, agencies in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Let me ask a question.
Okay, sorry about that.
Anybody else change their mind and want to get up and, okay, come up to the podium? Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Bill. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Patricia Burnett. My husband and I live in Central Lockport, right by Central High School, where some of you may have gone to school. So I'm giving a different perspective because I don't live in Crest Hill. I've had a call for an ambulance twice in the last few years for a dog bite. A dog went nuts, attacked a child, my husband ran out. Right there was the fire department, right there was the police department. They worked hand in hand, and I felt very fortunate that they all came together to help me. But I can tell you, where I live, by the old high school, or it's still in use, I can hear the gunshots. I can hear the gunshots. And it used to bother me, and now it gives me great feeling of goodness, because they're training. Let me tell you what happened 2 years ago at the Canal Days Parade of 23. My husband and I were sitting in front of Ember's restaurant on the curb watching the parade go by when I looked up. And there were snipers on the downtown buildings. And those snipers were there to protect us so that another Highland Park didn't happen in our neighborhood. So, I want those snipers very well trained. Do you know how many people are at the Canal Days Parade? I want them well trained. I want them to have the best of their ability because, as I think the chief will tell you, that nothing nowadays is, oh, we're so lucky, we don't have to worry about our children having a shooter in the school. No, that's not what they train for now. They train for when it happens. And when it happens, you want the best you can get. And if I have to listen to more gunshots, which I think I'm going to have to listen to a lot less, I'm happy to do that. Because to me, having that protection of the best, they're taking care of me. I mean, it would look like to see a SWAT team, see them on the roofs in downtown Lockport. I thought, what have we come to? But you know what we've come to. And you know, it's possible that it may escalate. And so to be prepared, we need to prepare our men and women that choose that profession because they're dedicated to helping their fellow man. And you have the ability to help your fellow man too. So I hope you think about that when you vote tonight. Thank you for letting me speak, Bill.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, one final chance. I don't want you to go home and say, I should have said something. Okay, if no one else is going to come to the podium, I need to have a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Peterson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Carroll. Roll call, please.
Jeff Peterson, Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Angelo DeSirio,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Marty Flynn, John Stanton,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Hearing closed at 8:45. Okay, all right. Bear with us just for a minute while we talk amongst ourselves. Are we okay here?
I'm okay.
You ready to
good.
go?
I'm fine.
Actually, I have a conflict.
Okay.
The conflict is, we have two parties disagreeing with one another. I believe in compromise, so we can all live in harmony with one another. There's got to be a solution to this problem where everybody is happy. We just have to find it.
Okay. Okay, well, it's pretty obvious after watching the excellent presentations that this request of the City Council and the Plan Commission is very involved. So what we've done is we've broken it down into 3 different motions. And so let me ask for the first one. Can I have a motion to recommend to the City Council approval of the requested waiver of the various preliminary and final PUD application submission requirements as outlined in the March 13th, 2025 Plan Commission staff report for this case? Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Peterson,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Flynn. Roll call, please.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
Marty Flynn,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Angelo DeSirio,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes, now,
Motion carried.
I'm going to make this comment, consultant, but make sure I'm saying it right. I think you mentioned at the beginning that the staff report was available on the website for all to read. So as I mentioned about the staff report, if you go on the Crest Hill website, you can see it in great detail, much of what you already saw. Okay, motion number 2.
And in addition, there's an addendum that's dated March 13th. It's also
That's, yes, thank you.
available. So
Yeah,
it's-
which is
it's
now
2
part
staff
of that report that talks about noise submissions.
And if I could just clarify it, if people do have interest in locating that document, it's under the agendas and minutes section of the city website. And if you're having problems locating that, please contact either the clerk's office or the community development department of the city, and we can walk you through how to get to that page of the website to access that information. And for that matter, all of the application details that the fire district, that pile of information that the chairman referenced earlier, is all available on the city's website.
And if you are able to access it, it's paid, the staff report dated March 13th, 2025 starts at page 392. So if you look in the bottom corner for 392, that's the start of the Plan Commission report.
All right, thank you, guys. Motion number 2. Can I have a motion to recommend to the City Council approval of the requested zoning ordinance text amendments as outlined in the March 13th, 2025 Plan Commission staff report for this case?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner DeSirio, second by Commissioner Carroll. Roll call, please.
Angelo DeSirio,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
Marty Flynn,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Third and final motion. Can I have a motion to recommend to the City Council conditional approval of the various requested special use permits and planned unit development exceptions as outlined in the March 13th, 2025 Plan Commission staff report and the March 13th, 2025 staff report addendum for this case, and with the additional condition that the location of the proposed firing range sound attenuation wall be adjusted as outlined in the March 11, 2025 noise transition assessment study prepared by Soundscape Engineering. Motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Peterson.
Second.
You got Commissioner Stanton beat you to it.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
No.
Angelo DeSirio,
Yes.
Marty Flynn,
Yes.
Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, so these recommendations will be forwarded to the city council. Again, the Plan Commission is a recommendation body only, so you have to keep that in mind. The city council will most likely hear this case sometime in April, I think we were thinking, but you will get plenty of notice when it comes before the workshop first and then the city council meeting next. I will just make this comment, and right now I'll just speak for myself and the commissioners that voted unanimously. Whenever I think about needing a first responder to come to my house, I hope that they've been well-trained. I hope that they're prepared. This facility will ensure that they are the best prepared, the best trained first responders in Crest Hill and Lockport Township. So with that ends our topic on this. We just have a couple other things to clean up. I want to thank everybody for coming and especially for behaving yourself like the good residents of Crest Hill are known to do. So thank you very much. Appreciate all those that comment. Does anyone else have any business that we need to discuss? We do have a section for public comments. Is there anything else, anybody in the audience that wants to come up and speak about anything except this case? If not, then can I have a motion for adjournment?
Can I make a comment first?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Most of you are looking at a person that wouldn't be here if it were not for the Lockport Township Fire Department. I had an asthmatic attack. My wife got on the phone. She called 911. 4 minutes later, the
All right,
fire
can we have it?
department-
The meeting is still in progress, please.
In 4 minutes, the fire department walked in my door. They administered to me, bagged me on the way to the hospital. I spent 24 hours on a ventilator, another day in ICU, and I'm here today because of you gentlemen. And thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank the council for their time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Flynn, motion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Carroll. Roll call, please.
Marty Flynn,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Angelo DeSirio,
Yes.
Jeff Peterson, John Stanton,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes, meeting
Motion
adjourned
carried.
8:53. Thank you again for coming.